Hello one and all, this is Grandad speaking. I'm now going to give you a little tape of some of my stories I've written. I hope you like them and good listening. I'll start it off land. Okay? This is our little dawn down the garden. When I was very small I was an only child, and when I said I'd found some friends everyone just smiled. A little elfin came to me and took me by the hand. He said, my name is Link Link, and I come from Elfinland. He said, if you come with me, I'll take you to my home, and to my Uncle Bom Bom. He's such a friendly gnome. You can watch the little birds, you'll find them very tame, and feed the tiny squirrels, we know them all by name. So along the garden path we strolled into the shady lane, and through a broken water pipe into a grassy plain. And there stood Link Link's cottage in a corner by the trees, with lots of small red squirrels all eating bread and cheese. There were very many tiny birds, much smaller than a wren, singing in the water in the elfin's little glen. Some were hopping to and fro and nesting in their bowers, for lots of pretty dragonflies were basking in the flowers. Link Link took me to a stream to watch the beavers play, and he said we'll turn around and go the other way. That took us down to Bom Bom's house. It was a pretty sight. It looked just like a mushroom, all painted red and white. I had a chat with Bom Bom. He was a dear old thing. He was so pleased to see me, he gave me a fairy ring. He said I'm Link Link's uncle, and I like him very much. He doesn't leave me very long, and we always keep in touch. We saw some frogs and crested newts in the woodland pool, and a tiny water shrew, and a toad upon his stool. We walked a clearing in the wood that took us to the dell, where we came upon a set in which the badgers dwell. I'm told that little elfins into mischief they do stray, but Link Link and Bom Bom make me think that's all hearsay. I know I'll meet them both again when I'm fast asleep, and all these lovely memories for evermore I'll keep. Believe me now, this little tale is very, very true. Otherwise I would not know how to write it all for you. It happened many years ago, while I was sleeping in my cot, and what I haven't told you must be the bits that I forgot. But I don't think I've forgotten much, as far as I can think. But I cannot write you any more, because my pen's run out of ink. That was Dawny, that was. Now this is our garden. There is a garden down North Hill, where once there stood a water mill. It stands beside a little glade, with harebells growing in the shade. One day a fairy waved her wand, and alighted by the garden pond. She climbed onto a long flat stone, where laid a rather sleepy gnome. Hello, hello, what do you there? I'm the fairy queen, they call me Claire. I'm the king of the gnomes, he said, and all my subjects call me Fred. Let me take you by the hand, I'll show you round my happy land. So off they wandered to the stream, but they stood and watched the silver bream. They saw the birds up in the trees, and the squirrels swinging in the breeze. White doves feeding on the ground, where blackbirds and thrushes did abound. They saw blue tits swinging on the line, and caught the scent of the eglantine. A wren's nest in a little hole, and goldfish swimming in a shoal. They waved to all the friends they'd seen, King Fred and his fairy queen. They wandered back to the pond again, cheered by the gnomes that lined the lane. When they arrived back at the pond, again the fairy waved her wand. Fred rolled down into the stream, and awoke to find it all a dream. Now the garden really stands there still, on the spot where once that stood that mill, the pond, the fish, and the long flat stone, the place all creatures know as home. There you are, that's a nice little garden, wasn't it, eh? Now this one is Beauty and the Weeds. This is when I took the little walk round you'll see all about it. I walked through the palace gardens where the beauty was untold. The colours ranged from a dazzling white to perfect flaming gold. The shrubs were in their glory, and the birds were in full song, not a petal out of place, and nothing was there wrong. The pine trees in their majesty were a splendid sight. They swayed their branches to and fro, and showed off all their might. The balsam spruce looked perfect, with its spikes of blue, and the roses in their beds had shades of every hue. I wandered past the lily pond and saw a shoal of fish. The lilies they were splendid, for nothing better could you wish. There was lilac and syringa and camellias prim and smart. Then I saw a gardener with a refuse on a cart. I waited till he moved away and watched him shoot the load. He shot it on a wayward plot that had a different mode. To me his plot was perfect, although it had no flair. The little weeds and flowers had grown up everywhere. There was coltsfoot in a corner near a water trough. You must have heard of coltsfoot, it's used to cure a cough. There were patches of ground elder, also called goutweed, so if you ever get the gout, ground elders help your need. There was comfrey in abundance growing near a drain. 'Tis another name for knitbone, and is used to heal a sprain. There was liverwort and lungwort and lots more I can recall, all struggling for existence with no real help at all. There are lots and lots of different words that grow on plots like these. Each one has a different use to cure and heal disease. So if you find a wayward plot that looks as though it's dead, search around and find what's there, and remember what I said. Beauty isn't very deep, it's only on the skin. It's like a pretty label on the outside of a tin. But all those little weeds and worts were used in days of old. So remember, little weeds like these are worth their weight in gold. That's true, aren't they, eh? Now, I don't know if you know copper is wood. That's just humanity, a little way through humanity. Maybe you are not very happy, or perhaps you're not feeling too good. One day that will make you feel better is a day down in Copper is Wood. Now you won't see a Betty Teddy Bear's picnic, but you will see a squirrel or so. There's wildlife and flowers in plenty, depending which part you may go. Go down the footpath to the railway and park your car under the trees. You'll learn quite a lot in the country if you study the birds and the bees. Take an old Mac and your wellies and take something with you to eat. Now sit on a log very quiet and don't make a noise with your feet. You could see a fox or a badger. There's kestrels and cuckoos there too. You will see a deer if you're quiet. It's far better than Stanaway Zoo. Now if you really like flora, there's plenty of kinds to be found. Windflowers and bluebells in plenty, with ramsons where ramsons and orchids abound. There are birds of every description, large ones and some very small. You'll know quite a lot when you see them, others you'll know by their call. By now you'll be feeling much better. In fact, you'll be feeling quite good, for there's nothing to pick up your spirits like a day down in Copper's Wood. There you are, that's true it is. Now this one is down by the riverside. It's down the side of Northbridge. There's a lady living in the first cottage down the steps. They wanted this done, so I done it for her. We live in an old world cottage down by the riverside, well above the waterfall, no worries with the tide. People come and feed the ducks right outside our door. Oh, this is a splendid spot. We could never ask for more. We live in a neighbourhood where everyone's your friend. Passers-by will stop and speak. They like this spot no end. Anglers come and line the bank and catch lots of bream. They always catch lots of fish. It is a well-stocked stream. We feed the swans with bits of bread and also feed the fish. I'm sure for something better we could never wish. The people, when they pass the door, will have a little chat. They often bring a bag of bread, the wildlife all like that. There are more hens, coots and pipistrelles that all live near and by, squirrels in the trees and white doves in the sky. Along the bank wild flowers grow of many a different kind, and if you search along the bank, some unusual plants you'll find. When you walk along the path crossed by the waterfall, look across the boating lake and see the Roman wall. Then walk up to the castle at the top of the grassy slope. There you'll see the flower beds all laid out in the moat. Make your way back to Northbridge to see where we abide, in that old world cottage down by the riverside. There's always lots of things to see and lots of things to do, and any time you come our way, we'll always welcome you. That was down by the riverside. That's this one. Now this one is How William Became the Conqueror. You've heard of William, haven't you? I'm one of many conkers growing on a tree. The boys with sticks and little bricks knocked down the likes of me. They bore a hole right through us with a gimlet thing, then they go and tie a knot and thread it on a string. Fay bonk, you'll hear one of them shout as he swings one through the air. He'll cry that was a good un as he hits it fair and square. If he doesn't make a break, then the other has a try, and he'll shout that's done it as all the pieces fly. They used to hold a tournament to find the king of conkers. How they used to sort us out and pick out all the bonkers. Someone would challenge you to come and have a game, and if you went and beat him, the king of conkers you became. Now there was a chap called William who came across from France. He met a lad called Harold, but it was not just by chance, for both of them had conkers, so a challenge was thrown down. And that is how our Harold went and lost his crown. It was quite close to Hastings where they found the battlefield. They swung their conkers to and fro, till one of them did yield. But it was our Harold who lost and had to pay, and William still the conqueror, right to this very day. There you are. Now this one is February the 11th, 1991. I don't know if you remember this morning, but I do. I looked out this morning to a wonderful sight. The whole of the house was perfectly white. There was snow on the trees and snow on the lawn, and I thought to myself, what a beautiful morn. I walked with my dog to the hill in the park. The boys with their sledges were making their mark. From the top of the slope they'd made a sleigh run, and everywhere there had joined in the fun. Down on the field between the lake and the wall, snow lay very deep, there'd been a big fall. A snowman competition was there in full swing, with men, women and children all having a fling. One little told me we're playing the fool. Snowballs and slides are far better than school. We're building a snowman and making a slide, and we've made a big snowball as tall as it's wide. But the river was solid, not much water at all. Just a few gaps in the ice on the Weir waterfall, where the geese and the ducks of old breeds did abound. With the river so solid, some water they'd found. There were swans, stuffed to duck and little grebes too. The smoos and the coots made it look like a zoo. People were there with plenty of bread. The birds were quite happy, they were being well fed. Time to turn round and make my way back. The birds in my garden will be needing a snack. Must return to the outlook and the beautiful morn, with the snow on the trees and the snow on the lawn. This one is Judy and Friends. That's that one of our little dogs what we had some time back. I'm just a little doggy and Judy is my name. I go out with my master and we often have a game. He always has a tennis ball and throws it in the air, and while I sit and catch it, people stand and stare. Sometimes we meet boy Dukey, but he's getting old and slow, and when my master throws the ball he doesn't want to know. He sits down and wags his tail while I run about and play. His master keeps him on his lead so he doesn't run away. I like my old pal Lucy, she knows every trick. She'll run about and search until she finds a stick. She'll toss it up into the air, then chew it to a shred, and she will not leave it until she's sure it's dead. Nellie is another friend, I don't see her very much, but I do see her sometimes, because we like to keep in touch. She likes to go with Barney, because he is her friend. They come on to our meadow, but they come in from the other end. Then of course there's Holly, she's Dukey's mate. Holly found him first, that made me just too late. But I go round to his house, he shares his bones with me, while my master sits and talks and drinks a cup of tea. I like meeting Barty and his sister Heidi High. They always say hello and never pass me by. And Dukey's cousin Toby, I don't see much of him. He's just about my size and always neat and trim. Jojo is a friend of mine, she lives across the quay. And Buttons, he's a little lad, he's not as big as me. I do like them both, in fact I like them all. And I like my master and that tennis ball. I've got lots of other friends, I don't know every name, but they are my friends and I like them just the same. I see them all at different times, no matter where we meet, often on the meadow and sometimes in the street. So you see we canines are a happy breed. All we need is kindness and just a daily feed. We like to go out walkies and have a game to play, and the kindly master who loves trust and obey. That was Judy, Judy, everybody knew Judy. Now this one is Benji the bunny. a little rabbit I had down the bottom of my garden. I'm Benji the bunny, and do I have fun? I live in a hutch with a very large run. I roam in the garden and feed on the lawn, and sometimes they give me a bowl full of corn. I come from New Zealand, and I'm large and I'm white. I've got very, very good hearing and jolly good sight. I've got many good friends, what more can I say? And never a dull moment, I'm always at play. There's Renty the doggy, I like him no end, and a moorhen called Monty is another good friend. There's fantails and pigeons and the hedgehogs or two, and when they get fed they line up in the queue. There's Bobbin the robin, a wagtail or so, and how many starlings we never did know. Plenty of dunnocks and a jackdaw called Ben, and a very small birdie we call Jenny the wren. The ducks off the river, they come to our pond. There's one we call Snowy, he's ever so blonde. There's plenty of sparrows, they come by the score, and Cyril the squirrel who knocks on the door. A nice little blackbird we know him as Spud, and a dear little tomtit who likes coconut, and Soprano the song thrush that sings us a tune, and Barney the night owl who hoots at the moon. Now Rinty the doggy is always on guard. He keeps that old tomcat out of the yard. We never do quarrel, we all agree, always agree, all my good friends, boy Rinty and me. Now this one is just Cyril, that's our squirrel this is. We've got 4 squirrels actually, but Cyril is a comical one I think. I'm Cyril the squirrel and I live in a tree. I live in my barrel and our family of 3. We play in the branches and we run on the ground, and whenever there's food we'll always be found. We dwell in a garden quite near to a stream. It is a place of which all squirrels dream. The chap in the house feeds the birds and the frogs, and they always feed Judy and Dookie the dogs. He comes to the fence and calls by name. We take nuts from his hand 'cause he's ever so tame. If we knock on his window or tap on his door, he'll come out with some nuts and give us some more. We also like biscuits and pieces of bread. We're always around when the wildlife gets fed. We play in the garden and we drink from the pond, then we go to the park and a little beyond. We like our relations who live in the park. When we pay them a visit, we come home before dark. Sometimes they come back and stay a few days, then we talk to each other and learn some new ways. They seldom get nuts, they're not very well fed. Unlike us, they work hard for their bread. We always share with our kith and our kin. It's not fair with us fat and our relations so thin. We talk to the pigeons, the doves and the birds. We always keep smiling and never have words. Life is too short to fall out with your friends, so keep yourself happy before it all ends. That was the little fella. Now this one is Sammy, a little doggy this one. I am a little doggy and as Sammy I am known. I've found a brand new master and I live in a different home. I've made lots of little friends and I see them every day. And when I go out walkies we run about and play. The master that I had before was getting slow and old. He fed me well and kept me clean, he had a heart of gold. But when he had to let me go, his eyes were filled with tears. But fret no more, I thank you much for those 7 happy years. 7 happy years they were, and I thank you once again. I'll never forget your smiling face, so let your smile remain. I know we both were very sad, but let your sorrows stray. Dry those tears and keep your smile, we'll meet again one day. My new master takes me out along the river walk. The little ducks they pop about as if they're made of cork. Then we meet my new-found friends, I don't know all their names, but we run about and play all kinds of different games. I now have 3 new cousins. Toby, he lives on the street. Another one is Billy, he's always smart and neat. Bessie is the other one, she is a little dear. She's an English bringer and I'm a cavalier. Buttons is our neighbour, he lives across the path. He's a lively little chap, he'll always make you laugh. I very often see him when I'm passing by his door, then he comes and say hello and offers me his paw. Millie is another friend, she makes a fuss of me. Often see her in the glade down by the willow tree. Although we both are spaniels, our colours aren't the same, but cavaliers we surely are. That's how friends we both became. I've met another Sammy, she is just like me. She is very small and as lively as can be. There's one I know is Bridie, and another one called Jane, and I do like Lucy, she's a proper scatterbrain. I have some dear old aunties who see me every week. They take me to the boating lake and sometimes to the creek. we would return across the meadow, round by the conker tree, then they'd take me home again and make a pot of tea. So, my dear past master, fret for me no more, I found a nice new home, just like I had before. All those 7 years we had, I never shall forget. I'll remember you forevermore, and always be your pet. I took Sammy again, a lovely little old dog. He's 2 aunties he was talking about with my sisters. They take him out quite a lot. Now, this is one is down in the aquaverse. When I was a little lad, I went fishing in the pool. Oh yes, I hooked a big one, and he pulled me off my stool. He towed me through the water, where everything looked terse. Then I realised where I was, down in the aquaverse. When he stopped, he picked me up and sat me on his back. Then he took me for a splendid ride, right through the bladder wrack. There were many kinds of different fish that I had never seen. Some were red and yellow, and others bluey green. He said he was a dolphin, and he'd teach me how to swim. I said thank you very much, it was so good of him. He showed me around a sunken ship, where he used to roam, and said he liked to go in there, it used to be his home. He took me to the bottom, where the lobsters were at play, and we saw the big winged fish. He said it was a ray. On the sand were lots of fish. They were mainly plaice and dabs, and some things with long thin legs. He called them spider crabs. We saw a shoal of herring and some whiting pout, and the wayward swordfish. He had a long thin snout, and there was some mackerel in their greeny blue, and some sea anemones of every shape of hue. He took me to a sandbank where we saw some seals, and down amongst the rocks a haunt of conger eels. We met his friend of porpoise and some baby whales. I know they were pleased to see us by the way they wagged their tails. I was in a different world, down below the waves, down among the rocks and in and out the caves. I saw how the fishes play, and also how they feed, and how they live and sleep down amidst the weed. My daddy came and woke me up and said it's time to go. But what I'd seen and where I'd been was a thing I'd never know. I now remember Dolphin and all the things he said, and maybe I'll meet him once again when I'm fast asleep in bed. A good dream on it. How to catch a haggis. Yeah. If you wish to catch a haggis, you must go up to Loch Ness. That is where the big ones are, as no doubt you may guess. If you use a seine net, you can catch them from the shore. But if you take a trawler out, you'll catch monster ones galore. If you prefer the smaller ones with little curly tails, you must take a gun with you, they shoot those in the dales. There's also some little fat ones that roam around the moors. They're funny little creatures and look like mini dinosaurs. The little ones are very nice, they run around the peaks. They have 2 long and 2 short legs, and are proper little freaks. They run clockwise round the mountains, so you have to turn them round. That's when they topple over and lay flat upon the ground. Some people like the English ones, you catch those on rod and line. It's best to go to Newcastle, you'll find them swimming in the Tyne. The red ones like a maggot, and the green ones take a fly. But quiet you will have to be, because they're very, very shy. Burns night is the time to go, that's when they're in their prime. They've never seemed to taste so good at any other time. You have them with cock-a-leekie, and a heaped up plate of neats, and with the help of Johnny Walker, Scotland's yours with peace. Now this one is Little Nanny's Boy. There you are. That's Carl, if you know him. When Carl was very small, he was an active boy. He loved his little Nana, and he filled her life with joy. I've come to see you, Nana. Can I have a drink? Of course you can, my little lad. I've got some, I think. I've come to play with Rinty. He likes to play with me. Oh, I do love you, Nana. Can I have a cup of tea? Can Rinty have a biscuit? I think I'll have one too. You know we both like Smarties. I'm sure you've got a few. No, he wasn't small for very long, and soon learned all the tricks. He chessmated you at chess when he was only 6. He learned to swim in a little pool up at Rookery Nook, and also took some practising down at Bounster's Brook. When Carl began at school, he mastered every sport. He wasn't just the usual boy, he was a different sort. It didn't matter what it was, he'd always have a bash, and when he come to swimming, he jumped in with a splash. Long distance swimming became his choice in river, sea or pool. No matter what the distance was, he'd always keep his cool. I want to swim the channel, he would often say. If we can find a sponsor, I know I will one day. That over rugby, football, cricket, he was always on the ball. He always liked his scouting, in fact he liked them all. He become drum major for the local Boy Scouts band and won them lots of trophies and really done them grand. He also swam a marathon in Sudbury's outdoor pool, 17 hours of Christmas graft, and still he kept his cool. He proved that it was effort and not a game of chance, and then jumped in at Dover and came out again in France. He became sports personality when he was just 16. He was the youngest one Babe Council had ever seen. He doesn't swim so much these days, but likes to go to college. He coaches now for Hadley Club and passes on his knowledge. He often speaks of Nana and the cakes he used to make, and of his old pal Rinty and the walks they used to take. Nana now has passed away, but he has done her well, and there's lots of memories that one day he will tell. Well done, Carl, you've done us proud. You're a credit to your clan. You're a little boy no longer, you're now a grown-up man. And as you may or may not know, you were Nana's pride and joy. And I will always think of you as little Nana's boy. There you are. Is the only... Now this one is Mary Mary's garden. Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? That's a question often asked, but no one seems to know. Now Mary, Mary was a fairy. She had a splendid home. She lived in a cottage down at Nottage with Alfie by the gnome. One day Alfie said to Mary, our garden's getting rough and scary. I think it's time we had a go. We ought to go and buy a hoe. With that they wandered to the store, but they bought a hoe and tools galore. They bought a rake and a spade and fork, some bales of peat and a bag of chalk. They purchased lots of flower pots, tulip bulbs and forget-me-nots, crocus bowls and jonquils, and lots of daffodils. They went to Walton-on-the-Naze and stayed down there for 2 whole days. They spent their time collecting shells, pebble stones and pimpernels. And when they'd satisfied all need, they bought a box of flower seeds. It's time to make our way back home. There's work to do, said Elfie Gnome. We've got to use the fork and spade before the lawns and paths are made. Then we'll need that hoe and rake. There's lots of flower beds to make. When the work was all complete, with the garden looking trim and neat, down by the lake they planted reeds, and along the bank some flower seeds, kingcups all around the edges, and in the water grassy sedges. They planted out the bulbs and flowers. It took them many lifelong hours, and arranged the cockle shells in rows, at least that's how the story goes, with winter pansies in their plots and cowslips displayed in flower pots. Alfie said, now winter time is almost here. We cannot do much more, I fear. I think we'll clean the tools instead and lock them up inside the sheds. We leave it to the winter's rain and return in spring and start again. When they returned in early spring, they saw what the winter's rain did bring. They found a finer show of mirth that sprung from the depths of Mother Earth. They had worked hard and did their best, and of course nature did the rest. By now I'm sure that you must know how Mary made her garden grow. With the help of Elfie boy, she turns hard work into a joy. The spring it came in all its glory, and I'm sure you'll like my little story. That's a nice little story.